Coach known as Coach CY around here, so we're glad to have him here. Excited about first season with us, and we will turn it loose for questions.
Before we start, I'd like to just say one thing real quick. I know there's a lot of stuff that's kind of going on right now, and we kind of get locked in our own little world as coaches sometimes. But with this military operation that's going on, there was I guess there was two people from Kentucky that were KIA. Benjamin Pennington and Ashley Pruitt. I think that it's just very important. Like anytime you work for an institution that's this, we're the University of Kentucky, right? But those people work for the United States of America, right? And they did a lot for us. So we just kind of think about them and their families, as their families transition over to being Gold Star families. Then anybody out there, like if they're ever ready, if and when they are ready, we would like to help them. We've got a lot of resources from my time at Army with some different organizations that would definitely look to help to kind of honor, those two and also their families. So,
thanks, Coach.
All right, Coach. Obviously, you worked with Coach Bateman extensively before. What about reuniting with him? Was it feeling?
Yeah, so he's one of my coaching mentors. So I was a quality control coach for him in Army for 2 years. I was his corners coach for 2 years, and then we've stayed in touch, a lot, right? And then we kind of had a little bit of opportunities with him being at A&M and I, myself being at Houston last year to kind of stay in touch and link up. But it's kind of been a thing where he's had a couple opportunities to hire me again. And then this one, luckily, he was able to do that. So it's been really good because, being with somebody as long as we were, I would say, 80-90% of football, we see the exact same. And a lot of the times we speak the same language and kind of, I kind of have a feel for what he wants, having been in a quality control role for him and then having been a position coach for him. So that was definitely a very appealing part about this job.
He said one of the big selling points for him was being able to build his own defensive staff.
Yeah.
He hadn't been able to do. How key is that familiarity?
A lot. Like one of the questions they asked me in the thing was, what's been one of the bigger challenges when you take over a program? And a lot of times it's the language, right? Everybody be on the same page. And, Coach Bateman, myself, Coach Wilt, Coach Gibson, we were all at Army together. Obviously Gibby was a player then. And then, AB having been at Florida with Coach Bateman, Coach Holder playing for him, right? There's a lot of us that, we knew each other. Per se, we didn't work with each other, but we knew each other, and so I think that helps a lot.
What would you say are some of the trademarks of good safety play and what Coach Bateman likes to do?
Yeah, so we talk about three things, like having the ability to run, to hit, and communicate, right? And the safeties are a little bit like the quarterback of the defense. There's a lot of stuff that goes into them. There's a lot of calls, a lot of situations that come up. And so that's kind of one thing, with us is we spend a lot of time on the communication part, right? As far as talking, knowing your assignments, but also communicating to everybody else on the defense. And so that's kind of one of the number one things. Like the running part's a little bit on them. We can demand effort out of them, and we do. The hitting part's a little bit on them, but we try to refine, the tackling technique that we use. But the communication's a thing that we spend a lot of time on.
What were your impressions of Ty Burhead kind of as soon as you got in on the job?
Yeah, so that was like my number one recruiting goal, right? Was to get Ty. So I got hired and then came here for 3 or 4 days and then went back to Houston and coached in the bowl game. So it's kind of hard to serve two masters, but I spent a lot of time when I was here with Ty. He's a really good player. I met his dad for the first time today. Ty's big, he's strong, he's fast, he's got a really good football IQ. And one of the things that I didn't realize until you really start coaching him is his ball skills. Being able to return punts, being able to, the interceptions and stuff like that. So Ty is a really, really good player, and we're really glad we kept him.
Obviously, Ty and Jordan have a ton of experience. How do you feel about the depth in that room?
Yeah, so we got a lot of really good players in that room. So, Ty, Jordan, Cyrus Race is another guy that's played a lot of football that transferred in. Jesse Anderson's having a really good spring so far. He transferred in from Pitt. Jesse's played a little bit of receiver and DB in his career. He's been a really, really good welcome addition. Dylan Williams has been, he's another young guy that redshirted last year that's super, super talented. That's got a tremendous upside, I think. And then Jaden Smith's another guy that's kind of a little underrated, I think, in that room because he's been hurt. He's been coming back off his shoulder surgery. But as he builds up, he's getting out there more and more and more. And so, there's a lot of depth in that room, and I'm really excited to see kind of how the competition plays out.
safeties can be asked to do a lot, whether it's be like an extra linebacker or an extra corner, or just play their natural position of safety. How has your group kind of adjusted to whatever Westside throws at them? Because it's a lot of plug and play, mixing guys up.
Yeah, no, it's great because you got to be able to play with different people, right? Because you never know who's going to be out there, what package we're going to be in, and so kind of how we're doing practice, I think, forces a lot of that. Like today was the first time we ended up going with 6 and 7 DBs out there, and all of a sudden, like, you're really a positionless player. You know, you may be a safety, you may be a corner, maybe a star, but now you're lined up at a different spot in a different package. And so, you know, for us as coaches, it's good because you got to think about different combinations. It makes us a little bit more organized. But I'm a big fan of kind of what we're doing with the blue and white teams and not really having a true depth chart, because I think, and then another part about it I think that's underrated is it forces you to get to know other people, right? Like you get locked in your bubble a little bit. Like, you go to lunchroom, there's guys that sit at certain tables. Well, now you got to talk and communicate to somebody that you might not have known, right? So I'm a big fan of kind of what we're doing. You know, we try to mix it up. Not every week, but basically not every practice, but basically every week. So it's been a really good positive thing for us, I think.
What's like the overall theme with this group? Are they like, do they like to talk? Are they very athletic? Are they kind of leaders? What's kind of the overall theme of your position?
Yeah, so our group, it's a really smart group of people. You know, those guys at safety, like a lot of them have experience at different levels of ball, but they're all really smart. I've been really impressed with the football IQ and the ability to handle a lot of stuff. Like we're not just sitting back and playing one call. You know, it's not just a sit back cover 3 defense. Like we have multiple coverages, multiple things we do. You know, different techniques within those, different things you have to do, different blitzes and things like that. So this group has been really smart. Now we still got to keep refining some things, but I've been really impressed with their overall ability to handle what we've thrown at them so far.
When you look at that star nickel position in this defense, do you think of traditional safeties playing there, or traditional corners? Like, how do you like to picture that?
So our star position, like Coach Bateman talks about, like it's got to be they're the G, right? They're the star of the show. So they're a little bit of both, right? They've got to have really good man-to-man skills. They've got to be able to play, different zone coverages. They got to be able to blitz. They got to be able to fit the run. So I don't want to call it a hybrid, but it kind of is that, right? Those guys, they're like safeties that can tackle, but have really good man-to-man skills. They're corners that can cover but can tackle. So it's a little bit of everything. So that guy's got to do a lot for us in our defense. But that's kind of the way football is now. Those guys at every level have to be able to do a little bit of everything. And that's why we call them the star of the show.
You talked about the military stuff when you came in, working at the service academy kind of shaped you guys into what you ask your players every day.
Yeah, that place is a little bit different. I think one of the better things you get out of that is the leadership. Like you meet some of the best of the best, right, that have done it in different places, and I think that's kind of what's molded us. A little bit is, like the standard is the standard, and you can't come off your standard, right? And to be around those guys, like the difference is like, their win losses are a little bit different than our win losses are, but I think there's the leadership ability, to be able to trust people, trust but verify is the thing they use a lot there. Sometimes you got to listen to the guys on the ground, right? Like the kids are out there doing stuff and they got to make the calls, and I'm sitting on the sideline with the headset. Like they're the ones that are in it. So I think the number one thing we got from our time there is just overall leadership ability and kind of what a leader looks like.
Martell's Carter was like their highest ranked recruit last year.
Yeah. Yeah, so Martell's is a good player, and the thing that has been really impressive with Martell is, I'm sure you guys have been out there and seen it, like he's a great teammate. To be able to go, like he's doing a little bit of both for us right now. He's playing a little bit of offense, he's playing a little bit of defense, he's returning kicks. Like, and the good part about Martell's is he didn't really flinch off of it. Right? It was like, all right, coach, what can I do for Kentucky? And he still meets with us, he still does some stuff with us, but he's kind of doing a little bit of both right now.
So he's playing receiver too.
A little bit of burning back.
Right here, basically about the midpoint right now. What do you start looking for at this point in the spring, kind of moving forward?
Yeah. So like Coach Bateman did a really good job with this today. Like he talked about like this is the middle, right? And like we're right in the middle of spring ball where things aren't as shiny and as fun as what they were before, and you're starting to kind of look forward and getting that little bit of a grind. But that's kind of how games are, right? And so you've got to be able to win, and just the same energy you bring at the beginning, you got to be able to bring in the middle, and you got to have that at the end, right? And so kind of as we look forward to this, right, it's just kind of keeping that same energy and juice level day in and day out, right? And I think our kids did a great job. Like today, some of the linemen came in wearing pads and helmets and stuff like that. We're kind of getting it revved up, And so as a coach, you typically kind of worry about the middle of it tanking, but I think our guys have done a tremendous job of having really good juice and energy.
Anyone else?
Very good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate you.
I just feel like the opportunities just come in. We got a fresh start, and I trusted Coach Stein and what he was building here, so I was just looking forward to it, and just that love and that connection that we built as soon as I came in with Coach Bateman and Coach AB. It just felt great. I felt like it was the place to be.
What's the biggest difference in this defense versus what you did last year?
I'll say like it's a lot. It's more. But it's a lot. It's also fun too. Like we can like open up the playbook and just play and have fun. Go make plays, especially on the outside.
Coach Stein says it's kind of been a non-traditional practice, a lot of best on guys, a lot of one-on-one. So how has that helped you? How's that benefited you guys?
It's fun for sure. Because as a corner, you gotta love to compete because that's ultimately what it comes down to in the game. So just going out there and being able to practice that and also do it with your brothers, you're going to get better from it every time. So I love it, honestly.
We talked with some of the wide receivers the other day, and we asked who's their toughest guy they've gone one-on-ones. A lot of them said you. So doesn't mean that your teammates are noticing all the effort and how you're working out there?
Well, first I just want them to know that they're making me better every rep that I go against them. So it makes me feel good that they feel like I'm making them better, but also I feel good on the inside that like they're making me better because like they gonna win, I'm gonna win. It's just gonna be a competitive rep every time.
I guess on the other side, who's someone that you like competing against, who's a receiver that you really enjoy?
Definitely DJ Miller, strong hands, and Shane. He got a little twitch. That twitch it gets you for sure. And then Harley Gilmore as well, name that's been here through here and came back, so he's twitchy too, and also really good at the point of catch.
Obviously, you all had so many injuries at corner last year. Having gone through that, have you think that experience helped the room with maybe guys who weren't quite ready to get some experience out there?
It honestly just puts you in the fire. Like it goes to see like how you've been preparing, honestly. So if you've been preparing the right way, when you go out there, it's gonna look like no drop off. It's just gonna look like the next man is up and everyone can just flow in. And honestly, I feel like at corner you just have to be like that. It's like that in every skill position, I believe. So just preparing and being ready to get put in the fire.
You've basically been here at Kentucky longer than a lot of your teammates at this point. Everyone's coming into you this season. Just how's that balancing being like a leader, but you're also still learning?
It's definitely different, just having a lot of different faces in the facility. But also, it's a blessing to get to learn your teammates and learn how they like to be led and learn how they like to be talked to. Because everyone doesn't like to be led and talked to the same way. So I feel like just taking that moment to step back and actually learn your teammates, sit down with them at lunch and just talk to them and get to understand who they are and how they are as people. I feel like that's the blessing of it.
Do you feel like your group's really leaning into that communication that Coach Fred was talking about earlier? How communication is super important and he's focusing on that.
Absolutely. It's been harped from the coaches to the players and everyone's it's a standard. Communication is the standard.
What about the other guys in your room? Who's impressed you this year? D-Mark he's been here. He came in last year, but I think he'll ring some bells. Grant Grayton, he played a little bit last year, and he'll definitely ring some bells. So I feel like everybody in the corner room is going to be able to come in and make an impact. What's Hassan after that group too?
Hassan is definitely a good player too. I feel like he's smart and savvy.
All right. Thanks, Ryan.
Thank you.
This is Grant.
How y'all doing?
Everybody, questions?
Grant, what'd you get out of that experience playing as much as you did as a true pro?
I think it was a great experience, just getting early, getting to, see some competition that's different, and just getting that experience honestly just made me a better player, and just trying to continue to grow on that.
What was your kind of welcome to the SEC moment?
I would probably say South Carolina game. I had the guard Nick Harbor. He was a big dude, so I wasn't really sure how I was going to do it, but, it's the steps to getting better,
What do you like about the new staff? Like, why did you want to stick around and play for this one?
So I knew Coach Bateman from high school because he recruited in the DMV. And he was a really good coach, and I knew a lot about him. And also Coach AB. So we had watched some film from Cal versus Louisville, and they were just strapping Louisville down. So I knew he was a good coach, so it made me very comfortable coming back.
What's the biggest difference in the scheme?
There's no difference. I like to, they're both good staffs.
It's sort of something you've noticed with this group. Is there like a theme with this group, like the IQ, the athleticism? What's kind of something about this position group that maybe fans need to know what they can expect?
Definitely the IQ. Hassan Sykes is a very smart player. Everyone in the meeting rooms asking questions, taking notes, just getting extra film in. So, I think we're like a really smart team right now, and everyone is just trying to get better every day.
And Will Stein's talked about, obviously, there's no depth chart during the spring. So how does that kind of help, you and other guys just being able to plug in and play and show their skills to, really show and get that consistency that all the coaches want?
I think it really helps because, we're getting to learn each other. We're a brand new team. So, just getting to work with other people, other linebackers, safeties, just getting that communication in is really good for our team bonding. And I think that's going to help us all get better.
You heard Ryan say, you were a guy in the DB room who's really stood out, and then the wide receivers, they said Ryan was going to compete against, and they said you were going to compete against. So what's it mean that your teammates are recognizing all your work and what you're doing out there?
It means a lot because, this is my life. Like, this is everything I do. So, just to hear that from my teammates, it means a lot. And I know that I can trust in them to get me better every day.
For someone that goes up against this offense every day in practice, what are fans going to like the most about it?
They're going to love Shane Carr. Shane Carr is very explosive. Kenny Minchey's very accurate. So the passing game is going to be crazy. The run game is also really good too. So it's just a good overall offense, honestly.
People have talked a lot about Kenny's accuracy.
Mm-hmm.
Is it a big deal if somebody gets a pick? Or?
Yeah, it's a very big deal. We haven't had too many picks this offseason, so he's been really throwing the needle this offseason.
You mentioned Shane. What makes him hard to guard?
He's very shifty. He's a really good, twitch off the ball. He has great hands. So, he's obviously a really hard defender, hard receiver to guard.
Very good.
All right, thank y'all so much.